The puzzling story of Mackenzie Cowell. With the miracle of another spring, the small town of Wenatchee Wash is curled up in a terrain of infinite apple orchards, and it turns out to commemorate the annual Apple Blossom Parade. But in 2010, one elegant dancer was missing from the celebrations, Mackenzie Cowell. As per her friends, we got to find that she loved to dance. Anywhere they went with her, she only danced. And these can include the grocery stores, gas stations, and anywhere a song came on, and she would break out in a boogie. So how did this chill girl get entangled in this brutal killing? What did she do? Or what tempted the killer? Let's find these answers now. Mackenzie's father, Reed Cowell, and his fiancée Sandy Francis share on Mackenzie's old high school dance team, the Applettes. Who is Christopher Scott Wilson, the man behind the killing of this 17-year-old teenager? The explanation to that question fluctuates wildly, and that depends on whom you ask, and it may specify whether the 29-year-old beauty school student is condemned for massacring his teenage classmate. We have to find that Christopher Scott Wilson is either a death-obsessed weirdo who liked to slice up bodies at the funeral cottage where he operated and who allegedly once showed off about choking a woman to death with a belt. Or we can say that he's an unaccountable, well-liked bookworm, or a regular guy with a talent for playing folk guitar but an emphasis on the future, attending beauty school so he could operate his mother's salon. So what happened with the teenage girl and how Christopher killed her? Let's look at this method. At the Academy of Hair Design in Wenatchee, located in Washington, Wilson met Mackenzie Cowell, a striking 17-year-old dancer who vanished from his apple farming community in northern Washington 8 months ago. Furthermore, this was where Cowell was last seen alive on February 9, 2010, and she was driving towards Wilson's home. Circumstantial proof that both Wilson and Cowell, who were leaving the academy around the same time. Cowell told her fellow students that she had been gone for 15 minutes that day, and cell phone records demonstrate how she may have sent or obtained phone calls in the region of Wilson's residence. Some 2 hours after Cowell left the school, 3 people said they had noticed a man wearing a dark coat walking down a road close to where the girl's car was. 2 of them gave a portrayal that closely fitted Wilson, while Wilson was regarded as a good employee at the funeral home. The owner said that some things began to take place that made him uneasy. Then 4 days after that, detectives found Cowell's beaten, choked, and mutilated body at a party spot along the paths of the Columbia River called Crescent Bar. As the body was found, it was seen that she was still wearing her beauty school uniform, and there were no indications of sexual assault. But things turned pretty disturbing. The autopsy outcomes later indicated that someone attempted to cut off her arm, and she perished. Yes, you guys can imagine the horror. You can believe that the killer is some jerk or a psycho who is obsessed with murders. After this incident, Wilson's attendance at school over the next few weeks was sporadic, and this included a week-long leave of absence that started February 18, 9 days after Cowell's killing. During a voluntary interview in August 2010, he told the investigators that he was familiar with Mackenzie, but didn't talk with her, and he voluntarily delivered a sample of his DNA. But that sample landed Wilson in prison after tests corresponded with DNA, which was found on a piece of bloody duct tape that was recovered near Cowell's body. Detectives had zeroed in on Wilson, partly because of a note his male friend wrote to investigators in August. Then, the letter writer recollected a story that a girl once told him about Wilson. The girl said that Christopher Wilson walked up behind her and he began choking her around the neck. But after some time, he stopped and acted as if nothing happened. This male friend furthermore said Wilson has an addiction to death, dead bodies, and serial killers. Then 2 weeks ago, an anonymous woman phoned police to report that she assumed that Wilson might be Cowell's killer. She told detectives that Wilson once told her he killed a woman who was a visitor at a hotel he worked at by choking her with a belt. Christopher Scott Wilson was no longer a shadow lurker, as per some of his friends and classmates. They say the prosecution's description doesn't look like the young man they understand. As the case unfolded, prosecutors found that Christopher Scott Wilson had a passion for death and corpses. When he slaughtered the high school senior Mackenzie Cowell back in 2010, he compared himself to serial killing character from the television show Dexter. What do you think of this puzzling story of Mackenzie Cowell? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.